I got good news for you. I mean, the state's got a $900 million budget problem. That's not the good news. The good news is this is the easiest $5 million you're going to find to help close that gap. Should New Hampshire be in the television business? Should the taxpayers of New Hampshire be providing a subsidy for somebody's viewing habits? That's the question that you have to ask yourself today. We've done it for 50 years. Maybe it was a good idea then. Maybe it was a good idea last year. You get to decide whether New Hampshire should continue being in the television business with a 31% taxpayer subsidy of New Hampshire Public Television. Yeah, they've got some great stuff. I was on Granite State Challenge twice when I was in high school. New Hampshire Outlook does some great work looking at public affairs here in the state of New Hampshire. I'm old enough to remember when Channel 11 had, a full news team that covered the State House on a daily basis. And it's regrettable that we don't have that anymore. Channel 11 won't go off the air if this bill passes. Channel 11 won't stop local programming if this bill passes. Channel 11 will have to make better decisions on how it funds its own operations. Representative Valancourt gave you a breakdown of the employees, how much they're paid, how many administrators there are. I don't care. I mean, I should say I shouldn't care. It shouldn't be my business what Channel 11 pays its own employees. It's not my business what Channel 9 pays its employees or what the Discovery Channel pays Mike Rowe to be on Dirty Jobs. As long as the state of New Hampshire is a major supporter of New Hampshire Public Television, it is my business, it is your business, and you should exercise your oversight to save taxpayer dollars and figure out how Channel 11 is spending that money if they want to keep coming back and asking you for $2.5 million a year. Again, nothing against Channel 11. They do great work. The overwhelming amount of their programming is not New Hampshire programming. It's not self-produced programming. The majority of their viewers are not New Hampshire viewers. They're carried on the Massachusetts cable systems. In fact, the overwhelming majority of their viewership gets Channel 11 through cable and satellite systems where they have dozens, if not hundreds, of alternatives that they could turn to. Many of the best programs, the flagship programs, Sesame Street, Ken Burns, these certainly could exist without a taxpayer subsidy. We're not here to debate the overall Corporation for Public Broadcasting in Washington, but I've paid enough for Ken Burns DVDs over the years to know that he does not need a taxpayer subsidy from the state of New Hampshire. So look at this as an exercise in rent seeking and how budgets are put together. You've got a group that for years has relied on the state of New Hampshire for anywhere between a quarter and a third of its budget, and it is a lot easier for them to come to you to farm that annual subsidy, to harvest another batch of $2.5 million, than it is to reform their own operations, raise more money from their advertisers, as Senator Wheeler referred to them, or from their supporters and donors. There are other ways for Channel 11 to raise money. The taxpayers of New Hampshire, particularly this year, but any year, should not be subsidizing that effort. Thank you for your time, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Grant. So let's say, for argument's sake, that no state money goes to New Hampshire Public Television after this, but they continue to exist as an entity providing whatever services they do. And they provide some kind of service that is, again, not funded by the taxpayer of the state. They provide some service that is competitive price-wise with other places that offer that service. It seems this bill would prohibit us from even using that service, even though it's provided at a cheaper cost. How do we get around that issue?
In some case, you're talking about using New Hampshire Public Television as a vendor,
right,
essentially, for the state. For a lot of those cases, if you're not using general funds, it wouldn't be a problem at all. For the Department of Education could use other funds that aren't New Hampshire general funds. You could obviously amend this bill to build in an exception for some sort of vendor arrangement. If you want to use other funds to lease the space on the towers. Channel 11 is not the only towers that the state uses for communications. There are plenty of commercial towers that it's using as well, and I don't know whether that's using general funds, other funds, dedicated funds. And the university system of New Hampshire could certainly have every right, if it wanted to give as much money as they wanted to New Hampshire Public Television. They just couldn't use the money that you give to the university system to do it. And if the board of the University System of New Hampshire wanted to raise tuition at UNH, Plymouth, and Keene in order to subsidize New Hampshire Public Television, they could do it. I'm not sure how popular that decision would be.
Thank you.